former White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus, along with former governor of the state of Arkansas, soon to be U.S. ambassador for Israel, the nominee for that. Mike Huckabee is with us. Good to see you both. Reince, let's start with you. Well, I want to know your thoughts on the sabotage, but also all of this talk of preemptive pardons. Donald Trump's been pretty clear. Success will be our retribution. However, there's a lot of talk of a lot of pardons given to a lot of people. Frankly, not constitutionally tested, but my reading Article, whatever, 2 of Section 1 of the Constitution is pretty clear. The power of the pardon is absolute. Do you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. The pardon is absolute, and the president holds that power. But also, you know, the President Biden, as to what Newt Gingrich just said, he's got to live in reality. And it's one thing for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. You know, the entire premise of their campaign was totally rejected. Their entire basis of their campaign was that Trump's a threat to democracy, Trump, everything about Trump, and it was totally rejected. So being out of touch is one thing. Staying out of touch is another, and that's even worse. So all of these pardons, all this nonsense that they're perpetrating on the American people, it's front and center. Selling the border wall, continuing to snub the American people. It's astonishing. Not going to Notre Dame in France, and instead going to Angola. Nothing wrong with going to Angola, but this is the world stage. You're a Catholic. It's an important site for Catholics around the world, and you're not there. I mean, the fact of the matter is they're out to lunch. The American people are suffering. And it is something that no one could make up. You could not make this stuff up. And that's why, by the way, to what you were almost talking about there at the end with Newt, this is the difference between 2024 and 2016. Corporate America in 2016 wanted to make believe that what happened in 2016 wasn't real, that we could ignore Donald Trump for the next 4 years, ignore everyone around Donald Trump and make believe that this was an aberration and it would just go away. In 2024, people see that we've got a realignment in America and a total rejection of the progressive left, which is why all of these companies and all of these things are happening all around Donald Trump. He's driving the message in not just in the United States, but in the world today. Corporate America and all of the people that rejected this 8 years ago, they're on board and they understand that it is a new day in America.
Why Governor Huckabee, with such a short time until the transition, why is Joe Biden escalating the conflict in Ukraine? Why did he give the go-ahead for Ukraine to fire ballistic missiles into Russia, causing Russia to change their nuclear policy, which went from, okay, if you fire a ballistic missile into Russia, they have the right to nuke you, which then puts Europe at risk of World War III. Why, with everything that happened with Assad in Syria, Donald Trump said, stay away from it. You know, America should not have a role at this time. We don't know who will emerge as the leader. And Joe Biden is, you know, bombing, you know, dropping bombs all over Syria right now. Why in these final hours?
I think it's pretty evident that he's sort of like reliving 2020, the summer of love. You had these people going in and looting stores and making a mess of cities because they hated the man. And quite frankly, I think Joe Biden and his team, they can't stand Donald Trump. And so they hope that the last words that are said of the Biden administration on January the 19th are clean up in aisle 5. Joe has really done it now. And he's messed up things across the world, here at home. He wants to make it as difficult for Donald Trump. But you know what's going to happen? I think he underestimates what Donald Trump is going to do when he gets into office. It's going to be a remarkable new day. To quote a famous candidate wife from Minnesota, we're going to turn the page. And we're going to turn the page in a remarkable way. And we're going to trade Barney Fife, who walks around with one bullet in his shirt pocket, for Wyatt Earp. And that's going to be the beginning on January 20th. And I can't wait. It's just not going to get here quick enough.
Only Mike Huckabee can come up with these analogies. I think that's great. You know, the president was asked yesterday in his impromptu press conference, which in and of itself, Governor Huckabee was refreshing, whether or not he would take out Iranian nuclear sites. He said, I'm not going to answer that question, but we already know the answer. We know from day one he's going to implement sanctions and he's going to cut off the financial monies that Iran takes in that funds their terror network as the #1 state sponsor of terror. We know that's going to happen. He's going to drive them into bankruptcy. And the second thing he's going to do, if at any point he feels or the intelligence community tells him they're close to a nuclear weapon, he's not going to let that happen. That's my prediction. What do you say?
I think you're probably right, but let's just remember that Donald Trump pretty much had bankrupted the Iranians in his first term. He didn't have to bomb them because he did bankrupt them. It was only because when Joe Biden came in, he opened up the spigots and let the Iranians have money. What did they do with that money? They funded Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, and 1,200 Jewish civilians were massacred on October the 7th with money that was made possible by relaxing the sanctions on the Iranians. Let us never forget where that came from, who put the green light on that money, and what happened when it was given to the terrorist.
Last question, Reince Priebus. You were there in 2017. Let's fast forward to January 20th, 2025. What's day one going to look like? You were there the first time.
I think they're going to be so ready for this. I think you're going to look at 50 executive orders on energy, deregulation, the border. I think this thing's going to come fast and heavy. And all those 75% issues, secure the border, protect the American people, confront China's ripping off the world, and end these wars and protect girls in sports. That's what you're going to see on day one. I think it's going to be an amazing day.
Yeah, agreed. I think we're going to see a lot of movement on the border, on energy, and America's going to start feeling better about itself really quickly. Hopefully we can get the economy running, get energy prices down quickly. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.